Take a moment and think. Right in the middle of the ocean, hundreds of miles from any shoreline, there is a floating city. It has a hospital, a gym, a church, a chapel, a movie theater, a post office, a barber shop. Every single day, 18,000 meals are cooked inside it. Around 5,600 people sleep here, eat here, stand watch here, and dream here. And from the roof of this city, fighter jets take off. This is USS Abraham Lincoln. Designation CVN-72. And this ship is not just a war machine. Throughout history, it has witnessed such strange, such unexpected, such unbelievable moments that you wouldn't know where to begin. Let's start by trying to picture its size. It stretches 333 meters in length, longer than the Empire State Building is tall. Its displacement is 104,000 tons. Its speed exceeds 55 kilometers per hour. It carries 4 steam catapults that can fling a fighter jet into the sky in seconds. Its flight deck spans about 4.5 acres. It conducts operations around the clock, even in storms. But here's the truly stunning part. It runs on 2 nuclear reactors, and thanks to those reactors, it can sail for 20 to 25 years without refueling. 25 years. No gas station needed. This ship treats the ocean like a highway. No limits. Inside, there are 5 separate galleys, a fully equipped hospital, a dental clinic, and of course, hundreds of cabins housing 5,600 people. These people can't step outside for months at a time, sometimes 8 to 9 months. Their entire horizon is nothing but water and sky. 1991. The Gulf War. USS Abraham Lincoln was called to duty. Its first major mission. The ship was charging full speed toward Iraq. Then, a volcano erupted, Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines. One of the most powerful eruptions in recorded history. Nearby bases and civilian areas were in danger, and USS Abraham Lincoln changed course, not war, evacuation. 45,000 military personnel and their families were evacuated from Subic Bay Naval Station. It went down as the largest peaceful military evacuation of the post-Cold War era. And during that evacuation, a baby was born on the ship. Do you know what the mother named her child? Abraham Lincoln Prestera. September 11th happened. The world changed, and USS Abraham Lincoln set sail again. 2002. The War on Terror. The ship was deployed to the Gulf. The tour was nearly up. The crew was expecting to go home. New Year's morning, January 1st, 2003. While everyone was celebrating, an announcement came over the intercom. Vice Admiral Kelly addressed the entire crew and said, "We don't need to go home to keep our loved ones. We need to stay here. Get over it. Get over it." The deployment was extended from January all the way to May. Instead of going home, the crew sailed into the Iraq War. But that phrase became so legendary that the sailors made a special patch among themselves. It read, Westpac 2003, CVN-72. Get over it. And on the patch, a cartoon of an admiral kicking a sailor. That's how the military laughs. During that deployment, USS Abraham Lincoln flew 16,500 sorties and dropped 700 to 26 tons of ordnance. Then came that historic day, May 1st, 2003. An S-3 Viking jet landed on the ship's flight deck. The man who stepped out was President George W. Bush. From that flight deck, Bush declared that major combat operations in Iraq had ended. The world applauded, but the war wasn't over. It went on for years. Thousands more people lost their lives. Now let's look at a completely different side of this ship. December 26th, 2004, one of the deadliest tsunamis in recorded history struck Southeast Asia. More than 200,000 people lost their lives. And USS Abraham Lincoln rushed to the scene. The ship stayed in the region for 33 days. 17 helicopters flew, 1,747 humanitarian missions. A total of 5.7 million pounds of aid was distributed. Food, water, medicine, blankets. Same ship. A few months earlier, it was carrying bombs. Now it's carrying bread. Let's pause for a moment and think about what it's actually like to work on this ship. 1998. Summer, the Gulf. That summer, the region hit record-breaking temperatures. The temperature on the flight deck reached 66 degrees Celsius, 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Sailors continued flight operations on that deck. The jet engine exhaust, combined with the Middle Eastern sun, turned the flight deck into a furnace. For months, far from home, in 66-degree heat. Now let's talk about one of the records this ship holds. 2019, USS Abraham Lincoln left port in April. A 6-month deployment was planned. Then, tensions escalated in the Middle East. The deployment was extended and extended again and again. Another ship broke down, and USS Abraham Lincoln couldn't come home. When it finally pulled into port in January 2020, the ship had been at sea for 295 days, the longest time a post-Cold War American aircraft carrier had spent at sea. And do you know who held that record before? USS Abraham Lincoln itself. But amid all of this, we have to make room for this ship's most unexpected and entertaining stories. Veterans Day, 2012. The Gonzaga and Michigan State University basketball teams faced off on a court built on the flight deck of USS Abraham Lincoln. Open air, sea breeze, players in camouflage uniforms. Gonzaga came back from 12 points down to beat Michigan State 64-63. And who made up most of the crowd? The sailors on the ship. On the very deck where fighter jets take off and land, sailors watched basketball. But not every story had a happy ending. 1994, the legal barrier preventing female pilots from flying combat aircraft was lifted, and USS Abraham Lincoln was set to make history as the symbol of that change. Lieutenant Kara Holtgreen, the Navy's first female F-14 Tomcat pilot, was assigned to the ship. But on October 25, 1994, during a landing approach, Holtgreen's aircraft suffered a hydraulic failure and went out of control. The jet rolled inverted and crashed into the ocean. Holtgreen was unable to eject. She lost her life. The flight deck of USS Abraham Lincoln bore witness to both the dream and the grief of a historic first. 2012. Tensions between the U.S. and Iran were rising. After the last American aircraft carrier left the Gulf, Iran's military commander made this statement: "I advise and recommend that the next American aircraft carrier not return to the Gulf. We are not in the habit of warning more than once." The U.S. rejected that warning, and USS Abraham Lincoln passed through the Strait of Hormuz and entered the Gulf. Not alone, it brought an entire fleet with it. This is how this ship always operates. Not a weapon on its own. It sends a message simply by existing. When diplomats are drawing up deployment plans, they look at the map and ask, where is USS Abraham Lincoln right now? The answer often shapes the negotiation. USS Abraham Lincoln is still active, still at sea. It departed San Diego in November 2025, passed through the Philippines in December, operated in the South China Sea in January 2026, currently deployed in the waters off Oman in the North Arabian Sea. Its projected service life exceeds 50 years. In 2039, it will mark its 50th anniversary. Until then, its reactors won't need refueling. Nuclear energy will keep carrying it forward. Think about it. Commissioned in 1989, set to serve until 2039, a full 50 years. In all that time, through the Gulf War, tsunamis, hurricanes, film sets, basketball games, and the most critical turning points in history, it was always there, in wars and disasters, in cinemas, in arenas, and on the horizon. USS Abraham Lincoln. Not just a ship, a floating page of history.